Hey everyone. So today we're going to be talking with my buddy Steve, actually. It's a bit of a different one today. It should be an interesting conversation. Me and Steve have known each other for a few years now. I think we met back in 2016 in Thailand, Steve. We were actually part of the same course together when we first both got into online business. And the cool thing is that with Steve, we have a similar kind of the same business model essentially, but he uses different strategies to get his clients. So should be an interesting conversation in that respect. And I guess just to jump right into it, Steve, maybe tell us a little bit more about the beginning stages of your business before you started and how that all went about.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, so we're part of the same course that we joined back in 2015, I think it was. So if I go a bit further back before that, so I just come out of university and I was like unsure of what I wanted to do. And I thought, I just want something that gives me freedom to be able to travel and, just like earn money whilst being able to travel the world. And so I looked into different things online. I tried some like affiliate stuff. I created a website called Top Rated Diet Pill, which I don't think you know about, which is which was quite funny. That was a complete failure. So I tried a few things and they completely flopped. And then I ended up going to London and just like joining the rat race. And I was working in London and in like this sales role. And then I got wind of this online course that teaches you how to create a business that you can like use to fund a life of freedom and stuff. So I started to check that out and I was like, oh, like this seems too good to be true. Like I didn't know what to do, whether to join it or not. I ended up joining it, which it was quite a lot of money, as you know. And it was cool. Like the course was all right. It was okay. It wasn't like, I wouldn't say it was anywhere near as complete as your course, but it was like a good sort of basis. And then so that was in 2015, and then from that just started following this course, working on that. And then 2016 went to Thailand, and then obviously met you in Thailand. But that for me, that was when things changed, because the whole time I was working on it, I was working alone. I was like, I didn't tell any of my friends that I'd built, like I was trying to build this business, because I was like, what if it fails? Like I don't want to be that guy who tries things and which is really shit. Like you need to fail, but I don't know why, it was my ego. And then when I went to Thailand and met you and Cam, I was like, oh shit, it is real. Because like you boys were traveling around, you had your businesses up and running, you were like living the dream, or like living my dream at least. Yeah, so when I met you guys, I was like, shit, this is real now. I need to work hard at this. I need to focus, because I was always like dipping my toe in and like not fully committing. I had that resistance where I was like, oh, it might fail, so I don't want to commit too much. And then when I met you, completely changed. And the cool thing is, and like the funny thing is, like I said, the course was all right. It was fairly good. But then the most value I got from the course was meeting you, because then I met you and it was like, oh shit, Dylan's doing all these things that aren't in the course. I'm just going to do what Dylan's doing. It didn't happen overnight. Like it was a lot of work and stuff. It was, I was working long hours in this role in London. In my free time, I was trying to grow this business. And then after a few years, finally got it to like take off to the point where I thought, right, I can probably leave my job now. It's still a massive gamble, but like it's now or never. And then obviously ended up leaving my job and then moving to Poland to live with you. So that was like the big leap. I guess that was the turning point, really. Like when I moved to Poland, it was like I said, it was now or never. That's when just things quadrupled for me. Like my business took off, and it was just like ultimately being in that same environment with someone who is doing it as well. Like you and me had some wicked times, didn't we? Like masterminding together.
Yeah.
It was really cool. So I can talk loads more about that for sure, which I'm definitely keen to. But just to quickly finish the story. So since then, I've basically just been traveling the world, like whilst growing my business. So after Poland, I moved to Colombia. I spent a few months there, and then I went to Croatia for a couple of months. Then I moved to Spain for a few months, and then I ended up going back to Colombia. Since then, I've been in the UK. But no, it's been really cool, man, because like all my friends who had been traveling, they'd gone traveling and then they'd come back, and like it was like a gap for them. It was like, right, I'm going to travel for a year and then live my life, like live the normal life. I was like, I don't just like put my life on pause. So the past few years that I've been traveling, my business has just grown and grown and grown. So it's been amazing to like have those experiences whilst also developing my career and myself as a business owner. So yeah, that's kind of like the story summed up, the past few years summed up in 3 minutes.
Yeah, it's really interesting as well. I mean, because you obviously were really, really committed to making it happen too. I mean, when you first joined that course, maybe talk a little bit more about the process from, joining this course and spending all this money on this course and then getting to that first sale. What was that whole process like for you?
Yeah, man. So joining the course itself was like a huge decision for me. And like, it sounds silly, but because I'd already had all these failures before where like this affiliate marketing, I tried like SEO stuff, because I already had those failures before. I was like so emotionally tormented by it. I was like, I can't take another failure, but I really want this to succeed. This course it launched, it wasn't like evergreen. I think it went online for like 3 days or something.
Yeah, I think it was it even one day, like 24 hours?
Day, yeah, it was. Yeah, I think it was actually.
24 hours.
Like a few hours, yeah.
Yeah.
So I remember I was at work and I was in a meeting and I got an email saying it's gone live. And I was like, oh no, I need to get it. Because like this, in my head, it was like, it's this opportunity or never, or like at least another year. So I was like, right, I'm going to quickly go to the bathroom. So I went to the bathroom and got my phone out and I got my credit card out. And I bought this course on my phone. For me, it was like such a big decision. It was such like this like emotional thing to like purchase this course. Because for me, it was like, right, this is it's the most money I've ever spent probably on anything. I was like, so now I've committed. I'm like, I've got to do it. I've got to follow through. So after that, it was super exciting to get into this course and like start building a business. But it certainly wasn't easy or quick. Like, at least for me, I know for you, it was a lot quicker. But like I said, because I'd had all these failures, I was like being a bit careful, a bit cautious. I wasn't throwing myself all in because I was like, I don't want to commit loads of time to something that might not work, which now my mindset has completely changed. It's like, you've got to go after the things you want. And because I've learned now that like, if you commit, you're more likely to get it than if you don't. But at the time I was just like, I don't know, I was in a weird headspace. And I followed the course. It was like, right, choose a business idea, build a website, find your team, the usual kind of stuff, go out and try and get clients. So I joined in like September, and I think it was like May or June. I think it was about May time that I got my first sale. And I couldn't believe it. Like, it was just ridiculous. Like, I'd just gone out and emailed a bunch of businesses, just like, hey, I found you. I've just created this company. Do you want to like, can we speak? I can't remember what I said, but like, yeah, I think we can help. I remember like the first few emails I sent, the next day I was at work and my phone started ringing. It was a London number. And I was like, I think that might be one of the leads that I emailed. And I let it go to voicemail, and I listened to voicemail, and it was this dude. He was like, hey, I got your email, really keen to chat. And I was like, oh my God, like, this is real. Like, people are actually interested. And that first sales call, I did it from Canary Wharf, like DLR station. So if anyone's from London, they'll know where that is. I did it from there, and I was like really nervous. I was like shaking, like, hello. And and it was just so funny. Like, it was just such a buzz. And like that, I didn't close that sale, but that was proof of concept for me. It was like, okay, this is work. Like, this can work. So I just kept doing it, kept sending emails. And then eventually, I got a company to say, yeah, we want to pay you. I think it was like £200 or something. It was ridiculously cheap. I didn't make any profit on it. And he said, right, send me an invoice. So I was like, okay, sure. I hung up. And then the first thing I did was call my dad and say, Dad, what's an invoice and how do I send one? I was like such a noob. Yeah. It was fun. Like, it was an exciting journey to get to that first sale, but it certainly wasn't like as clear cut as like you might think when people probably look at me and look at you in the group now and they're like, oh, like they've got it really easy. But actually they haven't seen those first few months and years where it's like doing the graft, doing that work.
I think that like initial process as well is pretty crazy. When we first got that course, I think it was like $5,000 or $6,000.
Yeah, 6,000, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a crazy amount. And we jumped into it. And obviously my process was a little bit faster, but it still took me 3 months to get my first sale. That period, those 3 months were terrifying because, you don't know if it's possible. You see other people getting sales and you're like, oh, well, they're doing it, but can I do it as well? And that thought is terrifying in and of itself. And I think that period is the most dangerous period in anyone's journey with online business because they're most likely to give up during that period. So if they have people around them that are, being negative about building an online business and saying, oh, it's taking you so long, it's probably not going to work, they're much more likely to give up easily if they hear feedback like that. So I think it's so important. It was really important for us as well to have that community we had as well. Like, the community was probably a really great part of that course, even though it was really expensive. And that helped us push forward, I think, even more because that's the most dangerous part. Once you get that first sale, then you know it's real and you go all in, as you were saying, and you actually start putting in a lot more effort because you know if you can get one sale, you can get more sales. And I think it was the same for me as well, Steve. When I got my first call or my first reply to an offer, I was like, whoa, people are interested. I can't believe this. And that was where I thought, okay, maybe this is real. And then from there, got to that first sale. But yeah, that's a really interesting point. And then once you got that first sale and you knew it was real, what do you think changed for you in terms of maybe, your mindset or action as well?
The mindset shift was enormous because it was like, oh my God, someone's just paid me money across the internet. I think I sent them an invoice on PayPal and they sent me money and I was like, shit, this is real. Like, this is actually a real thing. Because like up until then, I saw people getting sales in the group. I was a really negative person back then. I was like, like they're probably hired by the guy who created the course. Like they're not actually real. I was like, this Dylan guy, like he's fake. And I wanted to believe it, but there was something in me. I was like, yeah, they can do it, but I can't. Like I'm different. I'm not a business owner. They're business owners. They can do what they do, but like I'm different. And then but like, I don't know, in my head, I was like, just keep going, just follow the process, see if it works. If it doesn't, hopefully I'll learn from it. And if it does, then great. And like I said, it works. Like I got that first sale. And then as soon as that happened, it was just like, oh shit, this is real. Like this actually does have, like people will pay me money on the internet. And it doesn't mean it just suddenly changed overnight for me. Like I would still, like fall into bad habits where like if I didn't get a response to like some cold emails that I sent, I'd be like, oh, like it's over. Like this has failed. This doesn't work anymore. And like I said, like it was then, so I think it was maybe 4 or 5 or maybe 6 months before making my first sale to then meeting you in Thailand. That was like a roller coaster. And then when I met you in Thailand, I was like, shit, that was when it all changed. I was like, this is really real now. Like I've made a sale. I think I'd made a couple at that point. I've made a few sales. And then I actually made one in Thailand before meeting you, which was funny. So that was a cool holiday. Then I met you and I was like, Dylan's doing this. Dylan's traveling. I've made sales. This clearly is working. So my mindset changed. And then because of that, I allowed myself to go all in because I was like, it will work if I just dive in and like commit to it. Like it can work. Whereas before it was like, yeah, if I commit to it and it doesn't work, I would have lost so much time and effort and energy. Whereas like, yeah, once I saw that it was real, I had no excuse not to. I can't remember the guy, but like there's this whole thing, I think Tony Robbins it was, I think he said it, where it's like no one could run a 4-minute mile. Like no one could do it. And then one person ran a 4-minute mile. And in that year, something like 10 people ran a 4-minute mile. And it's exactly the same thing that what happened with me. It was like, I can't do this. And then I saw someone do it. I was like, oh, it can be done. So yeah, man, like mindset changed. And then because of that, all of my actions and habits changed. It became something that was like, instead of running away from fear, which I think was what I was doing, because I was almost trying to find reasons why it wouldn't work for me. Like, oh, these people are different. It won't work for me because whatever, like I'm in London, I don't know, making up like excuses. And then it changed to finding reasons why it can work. It's like, well, if Dylan can do it, I can do it. If I can make £200 in a sale, I can make £500. And then that became 1,000 and then 3,000 and 5,000 and like $10,000 sales that we're doing now. It's like everything just leads on to the next. I'm still like, I don't think it's maybe anything you ever escape. Like, I'm like, right, how do I make a $20,000 sale, like a $50,000 sale? So I don't think it's something you ever outrun, but I think the most important thing is just getting that first win and celebrating small wins, like finishing a website. That's a big win. When have you ever had a website before? Never. All right, well, that's a win. So like celebrating these small wins. And that's what I started doing was recognizing like all these little accomplishments and like rewarding myself for them. And it just spurred me on. So yeah, I think that was the big thing.
Yeah. It's so crucial, man. Like there is definitely a mindset and action change once you do get that first sale. And then there's a lot of little ones after that as well, like you're mentioning, getting to that point where you're getting those bigger sales, but then also things like automated sales. Like I remember the first time I got an automated sale where, I think I was just sitting in bed or something. And I look at my phone like, whoa, where'd that sale come from? I never did a sales call or anything. Yeah. And then like when we're in Thailand, we're getting sales there, or like when I was in Budapest, like in a bar or a club, and like seeing a sale pop on your phone, that's pretty crazy feeling as well. But before you
Yeah.
get to that point, you don't even believe that you can do it. And I remember as well, one thing that's quite interesting is in that course, most of the people in that community, I think, were doing a lot of it themselves. So there wasn't much automation going on with it. And like everyone was doing the sales calls, right? No one would automate the sales calls back then. So once I automated the sales calls and I added that into my course and I saw other people were doing it, I noticed that it became so much easier for the students to automate the sales calls as well.
Yeah.
So everything just happens faster when we actually see that other people say it can be done and they're doing it. Then we're like, okay, that person's doing it, then I can do it. And that's when we actually do things. Often, if other people aren't doing something, we're not willing to just try it out and come up with it, right? We don't believe it's possible until we see other people doing it. And that's something that's really, really interesting. And I think that that's a big part of, having that community there as well. Like when you came to live with me in Poland, when we were in Krakow together, and I remember us sitting in Starbucks and doing a little mastermind sessions there. You were doing pretty well at that point, right? Like I think 5K a month or more or something like that.
Yeah, about that 5, 6, yeah.
Yeah. And then you started really, really crushing it as well. And the interesting thing about you is you have strategies that I don't really see other people using at all. Like they're not strategies that I use. And also the people in that community weren't really using this kind of strategy that you came up with. That's something that I think is really powerful too. Like first you learn the basics, you learn the 80% of things, but then you come up with your own little, 2% or 3% strategies that actually have a major impact on your business. Because I know now you did like $290,000 in one of your businesses last year.
Yeah, so 290 grand. And the really cool thing is I didn't do any marketing after like February or March. I think February or March, I stopped doing any marketing because I ended up like starting another business in the fitness industry, which took all of my time. And then I just stopped working on the business. I stopped doing any marketing and I had a record year. And it's still just growing. And you're absolutely right. Like the things that I've implemented in my business have been systems that like pay off. It's not just like, right, send a cold email and then make a sale. It's like there are strategies that I've done that create recurring sales and create just automated sales and like make other people sell for me and stuff like that. So yeah, it was a good year last year. And like I said, it was just really cool to see that growth without actually working in my business or even on it really. The biggest thing I did last year was mainly like focus on automation. I was like, right, we've got clients coming in, we've got money, we've got a lot of revenue, which is awesome. How do I remove myself even more from it? Which is quite funny because you were talking about like automating sales and stuff. Yeah, I ended up hiring a sales guy last year who did really well. He was crushing it. He was making sales. And that was like, oh my God, like this is, because it's funny because like when I was living with you, I was doing everything. I was doing the marketing, the project management, the sales, everything. And you were like, dude, you need to get a project manager. And no, I think even first you were like, you need to automate your LinkedIn outreach and stuff. And I was like, but that's money. I was like, and I was like in this, like, because I was so new to this whole business thing, I was like, that's money, like that's an expense. And then I'd listen to you and I was like, oh my God, this has freed up so much time. And that time was really valuable, but it also allowed me to make more money. And then, so that was the first thing. Then it was, you were saying you need to hire a project manager. I hired a project manager, which took a couple of months to find the right one, then got her up to speed. And yeah, like that was huge as well. It was like, shit, I've just got rid of all of my like day-to-day projects. And then I started to feel guilty. I was like, I don't know what to work on. Like, what should I do? I remember chatting to you just like, Dylan, I don't know what to do. You were like, just keep working on automation. Just keep automating. And then, yeah, so last year I hired a sales guy. He was killing it. And then in November last year, I ended up hiring one of my best mates to join me. And we've kind of partnered up. So he's kind of become like a part owner of my business now. And it's been amazing because like what I realized is that there are two kind of things. Like you can automate your business and it will just run and make sales, or you can automate your business and come back in a year and it's grown. And that's what I wanted. I didn't want it to just run. I wanted it to grow. So I had a long chat several chats with one of my mates who's been involved in different marketing agencies. And I was like, shit, if I partnered with him, I could remove myself and it would just like the business would develop as well. So I hired him and yeah, that's been amazing. So there's like a whole new level of automation, which is like not only your sales outsourced, not only are like your projects outsourced, but now it's like your whole product development is outsourced. Like, so he's called Kyle. Kyle has come in and just been like, oh, like I see like we need to change this. Like this is like an idea I have that's going to help differentiate us in the marketplace and stuff. And I'm like, wow, these are things that I would have had to think of consciously. And like, it's hard to find that. So now I've hired him. It's like, shit, there's a whole new level of automation, which is awesome. Can't remember why I was talking about that, but yeah.
Automation.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's really interesting as well. Like getting to that point where your team is also coming up with ideas, coming up with solutions, and coming up with ways to build your business, not just implementing the systems that you've created for them. And then that's where your business becomes almost like an asset. It just creates value for you without you having to work in it, essentially, or on it, because you're basically completely focused on this new thing now. So yes, that's really cool. And I think that one thing that we've spoken about a lot in the past is competition and how, you know, when we started out, like, what was it, 5 years ago now, with animated video, such like a saturated market, people would say, like everyone's doing animated video businesses. We were like, oh man, how are we going to get enough sales to earn as much as we want, et cetera, et cetera. And we were even, you know, you asked me about this back then. I was like saying to you, you know, everyone's always worried about competition. But the thing about competition is most people aren't willing to do enough work to actually create the business and get it to the level that you're willing to get it to. So your competition isn't, you know, everyone else having an animated video business. Your competition is the people that are willing to do all of the things that you're doing and know how to do all of the things that you're doing. Those are your only competition, and those people are few and far between. That's something to consider as well, is like when you're starting your business, all of these little mindset shifts are really important, but there's all these limiting beliefs that we have as well when we're starting a business, like that competition one where, you know, of course, there's a lot of people doing the same business as us, especially in the beginning. But because we did things in certain ways, you know, focusing on specific niches, focusing on specific marketing channels, and you know, with your own methods, I don't really even fully know, you know, what your strategies are completely. You know, those are the things that allow you to win. And those are the things that you come up with while you're actually implementing the general thing. So first you learn all of the basics of building a business and getting your first results, you know, getting to $10,000 a month. And then as you're doing that, that's when you start to find the little things, the best niche to go after, finding clients that buy multiple services from you, finding your best marketing channel, finding the best offer, finding different strategies for getting new clients, et cetera, et cetera. So there's all these little things that kind of build up over time. And you just need to be willing to be one of the people that is going to fully commit to implementing that process until you get to that point. I mean, you and I, for example, like I focused on going hard at this for 3 months until I got my first sale. You were, well, I think like 9 months or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, we're not really good at counting months or anything. And the funny thing is, like, you and I are not the smartest guys around.
No,
like,
definitely not you. Definitely not you. No.
Yeah, definitely not you. And the interesting thing about it is, like, what we've been able to do with a very simple business model, with very typical strategies. We didn't do any crazy stuff. We literally started with the basics, and then we found things that worked, and then we just kept doing those things and refined them over time. And it's a very simple process, but the thing is, you just need to be willing to fully commit to that process and actually take action on a day-to-day basis. That's the hard thing. That's the thing most people aren't willing to do. They're not willing to commit to, you know, 1 hour, 2 hour, half an hour a day, working on your business, focusing on it and improving over time and celebrating those small wins. It's so key. Like, most people will get some leads, or they'll even get some sales calls, and they'll focus on the fact that they didn't close the sales call, and I'll be really gutted about that, which is fine. But also focus on the positive. You got a sales call. Someone was interested enough to set up a call with you to talk about your service. If you can get sales calls, you're literally at the door to getting that first sale. So And that's something that's really critical too.
What I'll say to that as well is like, so when I was doing the mastermind in your course, like when I had some private students and I was coaching them, a couple of books I always recommended. So one was Atomic Habits by James Clear, and another was called The Slight Edge. I can't remember who it's by, but The Slight Edge. And then there's also a third one as well, actually, called The Compound Effect. And they're all kind of similar. I'd recommend reading all three, but it goes back to what you were saying just about like just doing the daily tasks, where like small daily habits have such a big payoff in the long run, and like they compound on each other. So if you get 1% better every day, you're like thousands % better at the end of the year. I don't know the exact figure because I'm not a mathematician, but but it's big. It's big.
Yeah, it's a big amount.
Yeah, and that's one thing that like I learned along the way, which was just like just it's a double-edged sword. Like you can look at other people and go, oh, they're doing so well, why aren't I getting results like they are? But you don't know, like who knows, like maybe they had a lot of money that they could just dump into Facebook ads or whatever. You don't know their situation, but like you can use that as, it can be scary because you think, oh, what am I doing wrong? But you can also use that as motivation, as long as you can be sort of patient with yourself and just do those daily things, do the things you know that you should be doing, and like trying to get 1% better every day. It does compound over time. So I'd really recommend checking out those 3 books.
But what I was going to say to that, and I think that was really interesting, is those things do compound. But you said something interesting there about how people focus on what other people are doing, what other people are getting. Of course, there's always a certain component of luck or something like that, something, you can't really have any effect on. But overall, what it usually is, everyone, beyond luck, is everyone is in a different situation. Everyone starts with different resources. Some people have more time. Some people have more money. Some people are just naturally really good at focusing and getting a lot of things done. Some people aren't, which, by the way, comes down to habits a lot of the time. But what you choose to do on a day-to-day basis is what's important. What you do with your own resources is what's important. It doesn't matter what other people are doing. You can look at what they're doing. You can take inspiration from it, but don't expect that, you're going to magically be able to do what they do right away. Because oftentimes people do have some natural skills, but we all have the same process. And I think you and I are good examples of this, but because we're not super smart guys. But, just by implementing that process, you can get results if you're able to deploy your resources in the right way. So, for example, maybe I don't have much money to start with, but, I can just focus on using more of my time. Maybe I'll work for a few hours a day, 2 hours, 3 hours, whatever it may be. But I'll work every single day, 2 to 3 hours, and I'll use strategies that allow me not to spend so much money. Like I won't build a website to start with. You don't need a website to get sales. I'll use free methods like, social media outreach or cold email or whatever it may be, even, door to door if I need to. But I'm going to get those first sales. And then when I get those first sales, I'm going to reinvest it back into my business and grow it from there. Because all you need to do is audit your life. Just audit your life. Audit what you're doing with your hours. Audit what habits you've got, what bad habits you've got, what good habits you've got. Audit what you're spending your money on. Audit at what times of the day you feel most energetic so you know when to work. All those things are so important. And actually tracking those things and having a structure and a plan to your day that enables you to implement things in the best way and use your resources in the best way is so crucial. And I think that's one of the main things people don't do is they just don't organize themselves. They don't look at what they have. They focus on what they don't have, and then they use what they don't have as an excuse for not taking action, when in reality, they should be looking at what they do have and then take action with what they have, create a plan around that. So that's really, really crucial for sure.
Yeah, 100%. Like for me, habits are huge. Like as soon as I lose routine, like it's so funny. Like when I was working in a real job, I was like, I just want freedom. I don't want a routine and stuff. And then I got it. And what I realized is actually I started to fall in love with like business itself. And I was like, oh, it's so fun to come up with a new thing and test it and see if it works. And now for me, it's like, I really like my routine because I know that like, if I work for whatever, like 4 hours today, the rest of the day I can relax and it's guilt-free and stuff. And having these daily habits and like routines make it so much easier to do that. So like if you're in the stage where you're currently working in a job and this is a side hustle for you and you're just trying to grow it in your free time, then I'd say like set aside times of the week where it's like, right, that is my dedicated time to focus on business. And try and make it more frequent rather than doing like, right, on a Sunday, I'm going to spend 12 hours and then not do it for the rest of the week. Because I think momentum's so powerful that if you do 30 minutes or an hour a day, that's better than doing like 7 hours on a Sunday and then nothing else, because it just builds up and up. And yeah, the thing I wrote down, which is what I wanted to talk about earlier, which was every time I speak to you, every time like we hop on a call, I always come away like, oh man, yeah, it's so fun to build businesses and like to grow things. And like you've talked about like gamifying it. So like making it a game, like, oh, what level can I reach next? What's the like obstacle I have to overcome now? Like what's the next obstacle? And if you can try and gamify it for yourself, where you're like, right, I'm on level 1, how do I get to level 2? And like, what's the reward for getting to level 2? It just makes it so much more fun, and it makes it so much more rewarding as well. So like, I love that concept of just gamifying it and turning it into a game. Because in reality, it is a game. It's like, all right, I'm building a business. This is going to be fun. Like, what am I going to learn here? And the cool thing is as well is that you're not just building a business. And this is something I've realized is like, people who win the lottery, for example, probably like, I think there's a stat that they end up broke, but they probably don't end up as much they don't end up more happy. They haven't built the skills to make money. So if they lose it, they're screwed. They have to win another lottery. Whereas like when you're building a business, you're building yourself you're building your character. So like if your business crumbles at any point, you can start another one. Like you've got the skill set to do it. And so like, you're not just building a business, you're building yourself. And that's the way I kind of look at it. And I've started to look at it, which is like, I'm becoming a better person through this. I'm becoming a better person through building a business. Cause like there are struggles, like there are obstacles that you have to overcome. And when people look at probably like you and me in the group who are just starting out, they probably see this finished product that they're like, oh, they're so lucky they've got this business. But people don't know that like last year in June, I was genuinely talking about shutting down my video business because there was like, we were too busy. And I was like, oh, I can't be bothered with all these problems that are kicking off. I was working on this fitness product. I was like, maybe I should just focus on that and just get rid of this business. And then luckily I stuck at it. I was like, no, if I can fix these, it's stressful at the time, all these fires that are taking place, like all these obstacles, if I can fix them, I will have reached that next level of like, well, what's the next challenge? And like, I know I can overcome it. But try and gamify it and try to look a bit deeper as like, who are you becoming as a person by building a business?
Yeah, I think that's so crucial as well. People often look at it as getting to the end. Like, I just want to get to the end. I just want to have this thing that's going to make money, which is awesome. And yeah, of course you want to have that thing that's going to make money, but that process of getting there that allows you to build character personally, but also, the skills of being able to do it again, just in case it ever goes under, or maybe it stops working, whatever it may be. Not being afraid of that, because you know that you actually have the skills to replicate it over and over again. And it's not just this thing where you're building this thing that's going to be there. I mean, it's this thing where you're building yourself and your own skills, your own abilities, and who you are as a person that enables you to replicate that process with other businesses down the line. I mean, just having this one business isn't going to make you happy as well. You're going to want more. And, once you get to that next level, you're going to want to get to the next level and the next level and the next level, as we've both experienced. So, I think that's so crucial. And gamifying it in terms of, celebrating your wins and rewarding yourself for those wins is really crucial too. Actually, having that reward, don't just focus on the end goal, make little goals all the way leading up to that end goal, so you can actually celebrate. Go out and have a beer when you finish your website or whatever it may be. That's so crucial. Not turning it into this painful thing, turning it into something that you actually enjoy doing, like playing a video game, because at the end of the day, it is a game. Everything is a game. I mean, depending on how you want to look at life. If you can make it more enjoyable, you're going to get more done and you're going to enjoy it more as well.
Yeah, 100%. And also, like, the great thing about joining a course like this, like one of the most valuable things I've gotten from business isn't even like the business or the freedom or something. It's the people I've met, because it's led on to so many more opportunities and like just knowledge as well. And like just seeing people live other lives that's like, oh, I didn't realize that was an option. And it's so cool. So like joining a course like this is such a good idea. And what I'd say is really try to network with people in the group. Yeah, like people who are like further ahead of you, people who aren't as far along as you. So like help out people who are maybe a few months or a year or whatever behind, because it's, you just never know. Like for example, like Steve in the mastermind, he joined the mastermind for my help to help him grow his business. His business is killing it at the moment. But now, like, he's got this whole other life of like investing and stuff. And I watch his YouTube videos, like, and it's getting me interested in like investing. And you just never know, like, people who are further along than you, people who aren't as far along, like, everyone has something to teach you. I'd massively like take advantage of that while you're in this group with other like-minded people. Is like, yeah, just try and get out there, try and meet people like you and me, mate. We met in Thailand, and then since then, like, that led me to moving to Poland and like living in Poland, having a wicked experience there with you. And yeah, it just leads on to so many more opportunities. So try to remember that aspect of business as well. It's not just about making money. It's like, think about everything else you're gaining just from building a business with other like-minded people.
Yeah, engaging in the community is such a crucial part of it all. And I think one of the most undervalued parts, people are often afraid, they think that they're not good enough, they have no value, but everyone has some value to share. Yeah. And even when people ask good questions, that even brings value. If you have questions, post them. Never think that, you're asking a stupid question or anything like that, because, Steve and I can do it. I'm sure that you're much smarter than us. Definitely, engage in the group and talk to the community. You'll create friends for life. And yeah, I think that's a really, really important part. So we can end the interview there, really, Steve. I think that was a really good thing. And I think it's super inspirational to hear your story for everyone. Yeah, if anyone has questions about Steve's story, they can just post it in the group. Steve's in there. Lurking around and now and again. So awesome. Thanks so much for the interview, Steve.
Yeah, no worries at all. I hope it's helpful. Well, feel free to ping some questions below and I'll try and answer them. And if I can help, let me know.